Providing fresh water to your animals in winter, whether pets or livestock, is critical. Livestock especially will most likely be consuming more dry hay in winter months than the dewy, frost-covered grass they're used to in the warmer months. And they'll need fresh water free choice, meaning available at all times. So let's go in and find out from Kevin Goulden of Oley Valley Feed what's available to help farmers cope with those frozen water buckets of winter. So this is the go-to guy of Oley Valley Feed, Kevin Goulden. Thanks, Kevin, for taking some time. He's a busy guy around these parts. Kevin, how long have you been a part of Oley Valley Feed?
I started working here out of when I was in summers out of college.
Okay.
And I had a summertime job in 1985, and I worked part-time until I graduated college, and I came here full-time as an animal nutritionist.
Okay, and then you bought the place.
I bought the place in 2002 from the previous owner, Nick Kohut, and managed it and ran it ever since then.
And just went through a huge expansion,
Yes.
I might add.
Yes. 2 years ago in October, we had our grand reopening. We had a small store that only came to this area right here. Now it's a huge, big store with a lot more products.
Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, first topic we're going to hit on is winter water buckets. Winter water for your animals. For us, you know, there's someone there every morning to go out and break the ice off the water buckets. We don't have an electric heater of some sort, although if our animal numbers keep growing, it would make sense for us to have something like that. But I've noticed even if there's like the thinnest film or ice crystal on the water bucket that they could easily poke through, they won't go near it.
Right.
So
they, generally speaking, animals like a temperature of water at 50 degrees, which is exactly what comes out of the ground at. That's the temperature they enjoy the most.
okay.
When there is a little bit of ice on it, or it gets below 50 degrees, 40, 30, and gets ice on it, then there's issues with the consumption of water. The thing that the animals need the most, even more than hay, is water.
Right.
Because they're always evaporating, they're always breathing, they're always losing a certain level of water no matter what they do, even if they're not working.
Okay.
Just like we do today, a lot of people walk around with a water bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if you crack your ice at 7 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock it's froze over?
Right.
And they're going to wait till you get home at 6 or 7 o'clock at night. So that's a concern.
Right.
And that decreases productivity of the animal, plus gives it a little bit of a harshness or a hardship on their behalf.
Sure. Sure.
So there's a lot of things available these days to keep the water unfrozen in times that we're not there.
Great.
If you're in a large commercial operation, you have big fancy $500, $600, $1,000 water tanks
Okay.
that they use automatic waterers. In our small areas, in our small farms, we use products like these here, and it goes from poultry. You set your water fountain on top of this. They're all thermostatically controlled. They go on at 60 off of, on at 40 off of 60, so they don't ever overheat.
Right.
And you can leave them plugged in all day.
We have one of those, and that's a huge
it's
help.
a huge help because these things freeze up and they're very awful to get unfrozen.
Yes, they are.
Your pets outside. Sometimes they stay outside in invisible fence.
Yeah.
So this is your product you'd use for your pets.
Take a look at that for a second. What keeps it hot? What keeps it warm?
There's basically the same element that's in the bottom of this is in the bottom of this.
Okay.
Thermostatically again controlled, so you leave it plugged in all the time. And it's going to shoot for a water temperature of about 50 degrees, which is what the animals prefer.
Okay.
There's a various assortment of other products that we use for big stock tanks to put in the bottom of big stock tanks that promote them the most.
Okay.
Because they go on and off, again, thermostatically controlled. You leave them plugged in all the time. And then there's sinking ones that are just an element that would go in from the top on a cord.
Right.
But the problem with these is animals like to play with the cords. So you have a risk of electrocution.
So having something submerged is
right,
the
like
best.
like this here goes through a drain plug.
Right.
And it's usually against the fence where the animal can't get a hold of it.
Okay.
And people wonder why a horse, or generally horses or cattle, won't play with this, because they'll never get their nostrils below the water surface.
Sure.
They're going to suffocate.
Sure.
So this is their safest way of going about it.
Okay.
Here's a picture of it on a different model. Goes through a drain plug and hangs on the bottom of your fountain. And this is another model of this is a sinking one that comes in from the top. This is a floating one. The problem with this is this element gets red hot and floats around. If this touches the side of a plastic tank, it burns a hole in it.
Sure.
So then you make these special guards that you bolt fast to this.
So it's
that
not
keeps
going
it
to
away
come
from
into
the
contact.
side.
Got it.
All right.
Got it.
The animals do like to play with the cords and they're boredom during the day. So these are concerned a little bit from that standpoint.
Right.
These are a little better, but you need to have usually a Rubbermaid stock tank here or a galvanized stock tank here are your two that you're going to use with that kind of product. In the horse world, is we get to 9-quart buckets for smaller animals with the same element on the bottom and insulated.
Yeah.
And excuse me, these here are 20-quart buckets the same way. You hang them plugged in, and then 16-gallon big muck tubs for out in the pasture, those kind of things.
Sure.
If you don't have the big tank, those are another way to go about it. But you need taller animals, goats and those kind of things. It won't work very well for because it's too high and they can't reach over.
It's too high to reach over.
Right. You also have light sensing timers that will go on and off in the evening because it's generally colder in the wintertime and the nighttime than during the day.
Right.
So you can have it go on in the evening if you have variable temperatures. And we also have this product here, which you plug into an outlet and it will go on
depending on the temperature.
And off. On at 35, off at 45. So you have a secondary level to your thermostatically controlled products.
So someone just starting out in hobby farming or farming should know that, come winter months, it's different.
Well, if they don't know, they will know the first week of winter.
Right, that's exactly.
and then they'll learn it because they will get tired of going out there cracking ice. Or they'll go out there with a hammer and they'll break their regular water bucket.
Buckets.
Right. So all those issues there. If you buy 2 buckets, you might as well buy one of these and be done with it.
Yep.
So a lot of people use these in the wintertime, switch them out for the buckets that are not thermostatically controlled for the summertime. They go back and forth. They're not used all the time.
Right.
Although you can, but most people will switch them back and forth because these are $36 and the other ones are $10. So
right.
Use them back and forth like that. And it just depends which type of animal you have. There's different fallacies that you put salt in the water and those kind of things. You can't put enough salt in the water to keep it from freezing. Or else what happens is the animal drinks the water with salt in it. They are still thirsty. They drink more water with salt in.
Right.
They kind of overload on a salt thing, and you're going like, well, it doesn't really make no sense.
Right.
So,
Kevin, does drinking warmer water help to keep the animal warmer?
Yes. Drinking warmer water, obviously, you have the heat exchange thing going on. Under 50 is where that concern is, and that's why they choose not to drink it because it does chill them.
Yeah.
The other thing is when you have a decreased water consumption underneath that time. So the metabolic enzymes that have to move back and forth between the cells don't do that because the animal's not hydrated. So you have a decrease in production anytime the animal doesn't get adequate water.
And what would be the first signs of, say, a dehydrated larger animal, like a horse or cow?
Lethargic, those kind of things. If you ever have a question, you have your hand. There's always a pinch test, and they do this in hospitals.
Right.
You pull up the skin like that, and leave go, and it goes down. If it stays standing, the animal's dehydrated. You can do it to any animal, anytime. Dogs, cats, runners do it to themselves. They pinch their skin. If it doesn't go back, they're dehydrated. So you can check the animals at any time for that.
Great.
But that's a major concern. And without water, nothing else gets digested. So you can feed all the feed you want, you can feed all the hay you want, and nothing else gets digested. So that's the biggest concern.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now you know the importance of keeping your animals hydrated in the wintertime, and your local feed store is going to have everything you need to make the job easy and convenient on you and comfortable for your animals.